It's the time to reflect on the past 12 months. Now, no matter what you think of 2020, you must have learned something regardless. Don't think of it like a gap year, because time is valuable. This is my version of the 20 lessons I learned in 2020, not directly related to pandemic or lockdown, but I think they are great life lessons so far. Before we jump into the 20 lessons I learned in 2020, here's a list of milestones that I've reached this year, in no particular order. I ditched my corporate job and went back to full-time studies. I relocated from Hong Kong to Sydney. I pivoted my career from accounting to music therapy, and I'm gonna graduate by the end of next year. I maintained distinction average in my first year of studies. I also started treating my mental health seriously, and I maintained uploading weekly YouTube videos and blog posts. With that background in mind, let's jump to the lessons I learned. I've categorized them by topic. As you might have noticed from my blog or other non-musical content, I'm quite into personal development. Here are the 7 lessons I learned on success and goal setting. Measure the gain, not the gap. This is a quote from Dan Sullivan on the mindset of successful people. When we are constantly grinding, it's easy to get frustrated and unsatisfied if we compare our current selves to the ideal ones. Measuring the gain means to look back and see how far we've come, rather than measuring our current achievements against the ideal. For so long, I have been in that constant unsatisfaction stage. It was like whatever I did wasn't enough, and I couldn't be happy about the daily baby steps that I took. It was terrible, and it's definitely not healthy. So I think this lesson is crucial. In order to maintain a healthy mindset, be more resilient and hopeful, we should all give more credit to ourselves. We totally deserve that. What you focus on manifests. Have you ever noticed when you set your eyes on something, suddenly it's everywhere? Say I want to buy a car. After deciding that I'm gonna get a BMW, suddenly all I see on the street is BMW. Artists see colors in life, farmers see plants. What we see depends on what we look for. So how do we apply this in our lives? When we want something, we pay attention to our surroundings. We will find out all the resources to help us achieve what we want. When we shift our focus to achieving the goal, we start finding opportunities everywhere. In order to be more focused, we need to get into the flow state more. That means we need to eliminate distractions and focus solely on the things that matter. Create moments when you put undivided attention to your work. Generate more pathways to your goals. Reach out to the people that inspire you. Take a walk in the nature. Tune into what matters to you and work on it. There is no accidental success. I am a firm believer of planning for success. While there are many ways to achieve a goal, no matter which one you choose, there is always a plan. Everything is carefully designed. I didn't get into music therapy by sheer luck. I had the bare essential skills, I had the right attitude, and I did my preparation. I didn't get good grades by luck either. I had a plan before I started. I wanted to live a different life comparing to what I did back in my bachelor degree. So I came up with a plan and I measured progress consistently. I do think luck plays a role in our lives, but we can increase luck by practicing, networking, and increasing our status. I'm currently reading the book The Unfair Advantage, and I'll report back later. Also, the Pearson's Law states that when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvements accelerates. So the lesson is, set your goal, do the work, and measure the progress. Staying consistent is a superpower. We all know that overnight success doesn't exist. The guy who became famous on TV didn't succeed overnight. Justin Bieber didn't rise to fame overnight. Everyone has been paying so much effort behind the scenes. As an old Chinese saying goes, 3 minutes of glory on the stage, 10 years of hard work off the stage. This is very true, but the mere thought of paying 10 years of hard work is daunting. How do we show up and practice consistently? Success is a series of small wins. It means taking one step at a time instead of jumping to level 80 from zero. It's so much easier to break down one difficult task to baby steps and work on it every day. I have experienced a few full circle moments this year due to the fact that I have been posting content consistently everywhere. I've also learned that the fact that I started learning music since I was 5 ultimately led me to a career in music therapy from accounting. Everything is about consistency. I would dare say that consistency matters more than the quality of your work. Want to build muscles? Train every day. Not to do 100 push-ups every quarter. Want to write a book? Write 500 words per day, not to churn out 10,000 words in 2 days. Baby steps will get you a long way. Show your work. Internet is a wonderful place. It's not just about the transparency of someone's life, but you can also actively design and curate a profile that you want the world to see. The lesson here is that we should all have a home on the internet to showcase our journey. Invite people in. They would want to witness your success and to see how you achieve your goals. Blogging is a form of showing your work. So is starting a YouTube channel. Put yourself out there. Don't wait until you reach a certain point to start boasting about your achievements. What matters is the experience. Show your thoughts, your failures, and your milestones. We are all human, and we are all work in progress. I'm constantly sharing my thoughts, my small wins, my frustrations, and my struggles online, whether through blog posts, YouTube videos, Twitter, or Instagram. There is literally no downside of putting yourself online. No one reads your stuff, it's all good. The internet is a good place to store all your memories of achieving something great. What's stopping us from being great? What excuses are we feeding ourselves when it comes to doing the damn thing? Despite the unemployment rate rising in 2020, many businesses bloomed during the pandemic and the lockdown. Many people started their businesses during this isolation period. Obstacles are unavoidable, but the major thing that's holding us back from achieving our goals isn't the obstacles, it's the lesser goals, it's the ordinary life. What are you focusing on? Are you chasing after the shiny objects? We want to be great, not good. 2020 has been a year of trial and error. If you haven't figured out your priority, it's time for you to pause, listen to your inner voice, and get the clarity. Your brain loves figures. To work more efficiently, we should all understand how our brains work. We like seeing figures and absolute numbers in order to determine our behaviors and next actions. It's all about clarity. Oftentimes we procrastinate because we don't know the next step, or it's not clear enough that we feel paralyzed. Set goals that are within your control. Set concrete goals using figures. For example, meditate for 3 minutes at 10 p.m. every single day is a much better goal than unwind before I sleep. Likewise, set finance, fitness, and other personal goals using figures. Your life's gonna change. So these are the 7 lessons on success, goal setting, and a bit of productivity. Let's move on to the lessons I learned on mental health, a topic that I'm really passionate about. Selective ignorance. 2020 has been chaotic. In times like this, we get distracted and stressed easily due to information overload. Workers lose the chance to catch up and gossip in office pantries. Students don't socialize face-to-face during the class breaks. We are scrolling our phones and letting notifications disturb our workflow every day. Setting our priorities and tuning our attention to what matters are crucial. As outlined in the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, we should all practice selective ignorance. To put it simply, it's the practice of selectively ignoring distracting, irrelevant, or otherwise unnecessary information received, such as emails, news reports, etc. In a nutshell, it means that we should actively protect our energy and priorities by being intentionally ignorant to news and social media. It might sound quite insensitive and even a bit irresponsible as a citizen, but the more I think of it, the more it makes sense. As Tim said in the book, if things are big enough, like the virus outbreak, you are bound to hear it from someone close to you or a discussion on the street. News are, after all, by definition, things that we haven't heard before. So why do we have the need to keep up to date with daily infection figures and refresh the news website every hour? We don't need the distractions, and certainly not more anxiety. We can even go beyond social media and apply this on a larger scale, for example your diet and your workflow. And you can read more on this topic on my website, link in the description box. Get better at reading yourself. In my opinion, self-awareness and understanding form the basis of personal development. There is no use to read all the self-help books in the world if you can't read yourself. When are you performing your best? When are you the most motivated? How resilient are you? And what is your trigger? How tolerant are you when it comes to stress and uncertainties? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Understand yourself first before you know what to change. You can do that through journaling and mindful reflection. Be more aware of your thinking. It's not always helpful. Meditation isn't what you think. Throughout my whole life, I have never tried any form of meditation or yoga. I labeled myself as someone who can't sit still and who can't stop her brain from spinning. 2020 changed everything. We have time and space to face our own voices. Whether you lost a job or worked from home, undeniably it's been a great time to reflect on everything that you were doing. Career goals, family goals, or even what's the purpose of life? Meditation isn't about shutting up your voice and think of nothing. In fact, meditation is supposed to help you think clearer and achieve a calm state of mind. It simply means to unplug or do some deep breathing for 2 to 3 minutes. I have been trying free meditation from Headspace recently, and their approach regarding our messy thoughts is quite interesting. It's like just looking at cars pass by on the street. You allow your thoughts come and go. You don't need to shut down your mind. It's impossible anyway. I like the sound of unplugging. It creates space for me to breathe and reset. And I learned to look forward to the winding down process every night. Now let's move on to the third category, lessons on life. Long-term planning is utterly useless. I didn't want to include this in 2020 because I already learned it the hard way given all the chaos happened in Hong Kong last year. But since the impact of the coronavirus was huge, I think I still need to address this in a different context. My life was never the same after experiencing PTSD symptoms last year. But in 2020, it's about life or death. And it's really full of unknown, because I don't believe that people can fully recover from the virus. Your career, wedding, and travel plans all got held up, and you were even asked to stop socializing. The lesson learned here is to focus on your goals, but be open to any kind of opportunities. I think 5 years are considered to be long term. The world changes too fast. My current approach is to get closer to my vision as soon as possible through 3 months sprinting. The vision shows me the direction, and I take quick actions. A good question to ask yourself is, what's your 5-year goal, and how can you achieve that in 6 months? It sounds insane, but in most occasions we are just procrastinating by telling ourselves that we are not ready or it's not the right time yet. Do it anyway. Know your directions, sprint towards the goal, but be open to any path that can get you there. Everything is a skill that can be mastered. I think this one is not being recognized the way it deserves. I'm not only talking about computer skills or how to ride a bicycle. There are many skills in life that are actually superpower if you master them. Examples include how to spend time and money, resilience, discipline, understanding yourself, and stretching your comfort zone. These skills are crucial to everything that you do. Specifically, your brain has muscles that you can train and stretch. Everything can be learned, practiced, and mastered. In the end, it all comes down to how well you understand your strengths and weaknesses and what you're going to do about them. Go the extra mile. I'm going to keep this one short. In order to build meaningful relationships, make good first impressions, and stand up from your peers, think about what you can do for others. Often, it requires taking the extra mile. Listen to other people's needs. Leverage social media. Send more cold emails. Do things that others are not willing to do. Creativity takes courage. Okay, this is actually a quote from Henry Matisse, but I think it kind of links to showing your work as well. Oftentimes we think we're not creative because we don't have any original ideas, and sometimes we are afraid to face our inner voices and admit our subconscious feelings. That's why we don't write, we don't make music, and we don't make art. I believe that human beings are meant to be creative. If you really think about it, it's actually quite hard to be original given the long history of human existence. Who are you to come up with 100% new ideas that haven't been thought about more than 2,000 years ago? Get over it. We describe someone as creative because they find new ways of doing old things, because they give interesting perspective and narration to a certain topic. Being creative also means that you think outside the box and you find new pathways to achieving your goals. Are you now waiting for the green light? Are you seeking for approval before you take actions? Are you playing safe or aggressive? You can be in charge. Face your inner voice. Look at things from different angles. Share ideas with others. Everything starts from having the courage to change. Most regrets in life comes from not doing something. You must have heard about the regrets that people have on their deathbed. People rarely regret about the things that they have done. Well, I can actually think of drug dealing, for example, but you get my point. More often, they regret putting their dreams aside and let reality take charge. The question that we should ask ourselves is, how many excuses are we giving ourselves when it comes to something that we really want to achieve? Are they just things that feel good to have, or are you actually committed to making it happen? How many years have you postponed on taking the first step? Pandemic is a double-edged sword. Some people found the time to finally take off their wish list, while some had to delay their plans because the world stopped. Do you have the courage to pursue what really matters relentlessly? There's a quote that says, "In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take." Now let's move on to the next category, career and business. Being employed is as risky as starting a business. 2020 created a lot of new normals. Recession, unemployment. Life is full of surprises. As an employee, what you get is a fixed income, not a stable life. Your income is predictable as long as your company doesn't collapse. But 2020 taught us that being an employee is not as stable as you think. And starting our own business is not as risky as we think either. The world is always changing. Lucky for us, human beings are highly adaptive. The question is, what actions are you gonna take? And now let's move on to the second last category that I have, on learning. Vocal is a type of instrument. This one is more academically related for me. I kinda knew it, but my brain didn't really process it until I started studying music therapy. And I wanted to treat this more seriously. I used to brush it off when someone says he's a vocalist. And more importantly, vocalists need to take extra care about their instrument. I can replace my piano if it breaks, but you can't replace your vocal cord. Never stop learning. It's true when people say that real learning starts after you graduate. I probably am not in the best position to say this, but I do think that nowadays we don't need to go to university if you want to learn a skill. There is free knowledge everywhere. Play a new instrument, learn a new language, learn how to code, and study marketing. There is literally gold everywhere online. And there is so much in life that we have yet to explore. Don't let a graduate certificate to stop you from learning. The importance of reading. Okay, I've never been an avid reader. I read novels from time to time, but it's only from last year that I started reading more seriously. My life has changed since I devoted time learning about personal development. Now, as my interest expands, I explore books about finances and entrepreneurship. Reading is the best way to learn and reflect. The smartest people ever existed are probably dead, but we can all read their stories and theories from their books. We can learn from their success and failures. We can imagine living others' lives that we would never have lived. It's amazing. And here's the last lesson that I learned, but it's kind of random and it didn't fit into any of the category. There are no assholes in life. The general idea is that you think someone's an asshole because his or her values don't align with yours. But everyone is selfish in some way. For example, you might think that playboys are assholes, but if you're one of them, you definitely would not think that. Once your values align with others, you guys are kind of like in the same channel and assholes just don't exist. And the same applies to any form of relationship. Your manager is not an asshole, and your brother is not an asshole either. It has been a dramatic year. I still have mixed feelings toward this year, but generally I'm still grateful for all the achievements that I've made amid the chaos. I believe that there is nothing really stopping us from achieving our full potential. I hope you have enjoyed my version of 20 lessons learned in 2020, and I hope you have learned something too. I would love to invite you to join my personal development journey. Hit that subscribe button for more music, mental health and mindset videos. This year might have been really bad for you, but it's time for you to rewrite your story. It doesn't have to be bad if you have the courage to make a change. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.